Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is the lead author of one of our newest books. Welcome, David McLeod. How you doing?
Hello, Laura. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm really excited about releasing our book. I think we
Well,
only have a little over a week until it's coming out, so
I
this is
know.
exciting.
Any minute, you guys. Gifts of wisdom, practices for healing and empowerment. I am I'm really excited about this book. I feel like I say that a lot, but in this case, the stellar group of expert and experienced, wise souls you brought around you are amazing. They have stepped it up. They are excited about the collaboration. I love playing in the sandbox with you and them. I love it all. I love the project, David. Thank you. Thanks for your vision, your mission, and just for being on the journey with me.
Well, thank you, Laura. And in full transparency, I have done, I think, 7, possibly 8 collaborations with you now. Uh, 4 of those with the Wellness Universe, and coming up number 5. And so I knew that I was going to be in good hands by, partnering up with you to bring this book into fruition. And I remember, I think it was back in 2023, probably early 2023, when I first started talking to you about doing this project, that I had just gone into I think it was my 70th birthday in 2023. And I thought, now I'm starting to feel old. What can I do with this? And I thought, maybe it's time to start embracing my elderhood, my inner wisdom that I maybe have been trying to push aside because I guess I don't like labeling myself as a wise person, even though I've gone through a lot of life experience and I've learned a lot of things. And I think I have a lot of lessons that other people can benefit from. And certainly my coaching practice is all about helping people to find out the truth of who they really are, not just to find out, but maybe to remember, embrace it and experience it and express it. So I think when I decided to do this, I knew I was going to be taking a leap. And I knew I wanted to do it with you because I've had so much great experience with the previous books that I've worked on.
Well, you are doing the work and you're walking the walk. Let's back up a minute, you guys. David D McLeod is a certified master life coach who supports middle aged men and women to clear unconscious limiting beliefs in order to transform their lives into magnificent works of art. There's the bio, you guys, just so you can get a little taste. Of course, I've got him hooked up with his links down below and you can explore later. All right, let's get into it a little bit. Why, you gave a little bit of the why of this book just now, but when you could have picked a lot of topics, including like life mastery, why gifts of wisdom?
When I originally thought about this, I thought, one of the things that I notice in our world, in our society, particularly Western society, is we really don't treat our elders all that well. And I was a little bit disappointed about that. And I was thinking about my own transition into elderhood, as it were. And I'm thinking, how can I start to raise awareness about the wisdom that is actually embodied by so many amazing souls who have lived so many amazing lives? I think I think that's what was really coming up for me, as I said, around the time of my 70th birthday. And so I started thinking about this in terms of elder wisdom originally. But what I discovered in the process of seeking people to participate in this, there was quite a few younger folks. And when I say younger, I mean they're in their 40s and 50s. Now they're younger relative to me, but they're still people who have had pretty amazing life journeys. And they said, I'm kind of interested in this. How can I participate? And so I just decided to open it up. I decided maybe this really has nothing to do with elder wisdom and more to do about wisdom in general and how we can bring it forward into the world. So that's how the project kind of came about. That's how my energetic feelings about it, started out and shifted and morphed. And now I'm really delighted This title, Gifts of Wisdom, Practices for Healing and Empowerment. I mean, that just resonates so deeply for me right now.
Me too. I love our title. And you make me think of my daughter and my grandma, and that I get wisdom from both ends of the spectrum of people in my life. I have often said my kids have been my biggest teachers. And so I love what you're saying about pulling in all of the ages, but I also really recognize that I don't think elders are respected as much as they are in other cultures. So one of the things I love the most is the age range of this book of our authors.
Right.
And I am sorry, but I got to do it, you guys. I'm going to shout out my mom right now because she's in the book. And I hope she doesn't mind me saying she's 77. She'll be 78 this year. And she's a badass, you know? So thanks, Mom. I love you, Mom.
Well,
Um,
and before you go any further, I just want to shout out to you, Laura, because you're also in the book. So we
yes, I
have a
am.
mother and daughter in the book. And what else? We have a husband and a wife in the book as well. I mean, it just amazes me how we've got this collection of amazing people from all over the world. People from New Zealand, from Australia, from Great Britain, from the US. And I think we have one person from Canada as well. So a truly international cast of
Yeah.
really, really amazing writers. Our readers are going to are going to be in for a huge gift, and maybe even a number of surprises.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So when you think of wisdom that you personally have acquired over the years, what do you think was the most powerful nugget for your life? Give us
Oh,
an
it's no,
example.
there's no question. It's hands down the most important thing I've ever learned is that the only thing that really matters, the only thing is knowing who you really are. Everything else emanates from that. The, the fact that I now have a clear mission comes from knowing who I am. I couldn't have that mission if I didn't have any sense of who I really was. And in fact, in the early stages of my life, I was bouncing around from one mission to the next, trying to do what I thought was right for me and never feeling quite fulfilled. It wasn't until I did the work to, uncover the truth of who I really am, peel off all those layers, all those costumes, all those masks that I had put on for myself in order to fulfill what I believed was somebody else's expectation of me. When I stopped doing that and started knowing the truth of who I am and expressing that truth, everything changed. It was it was like flipping a switch, really.
And do you think it was the feeling of fulfillment that was the biggest key to that? Will you expand on how you knew?
Well, at the time that I was going through the journey, my experience was, oh my God, this life is so miserable. I hate it. I really want to just get out of it. It's not at all what I signed up for. But of course, because I was brought up in a Christian environment and, any concept, or any even thinking about something as crazy as suicide was sinful unto itself, let alone actually acting on that. And so I would put thoughts like that out of my mind. I'd say, no, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. And eventually, what happened was I realized that I was kind of stuck in this situation that was very unfulfilling, very unhappy. I was very miserable. And after trying a variety of different things, going to church, going to religious leaders, helpers, trying to get support from friends, doing even a psychotherapist session, I came to the conclusion I couldn't continue to stay in this energy and try and heal it. Although I wouldn't have framed it in those words at the time. I just knew I had to get out of there. You see, once I got out of there and moved to a new location, now I was exposed to all kinds of new opportunities. My soul knew how to attract that stuff into me. And I started feeling, oh, maybe there really is a reason for me to be here. I still hadn't quite figured it out yet, but I knew that it was there. And I said, okay, I'm on the right path now. I could just feel it, you know? And so a lot of people might look at this from the outside and say, wow, that guy basically destroyed his family. He ruined his life to do this, and this is what he's expecting me to do. No, I'm not expecting anybody to do it the way I did it. I'm only saying that what I needed was to know the truth of who I am. Now, there might have been other ways for me to do that. In retrospect, I think I could have found other ways, but that's the path I ended up taking. It had its consequences. It's had its impact in the world. But the most important impact was me understanding and getting to that truth. And I think the biggest part of that experience happened when I did my new warrior training adventure in May of 2003. And I was able to unleash all of the inner turmoil that had been stuck inside me, stuff that I had been stuffing down for such a long time. I was able to release that into a sacred container. And that release allowed me to uncover in one massive, massive cathartic experience the truth of who I really am. I had the visceral experience that day of knowing the importance of that truth, of knowing the truth of who I am, and simultaneously recognizing that we are all one. It's not just a bumper sticker, you know? I began to understand that. And I mean, I had that visceral experience. And so ever since then, I've known that my purpose in life is to help other people understand that truth. Even if, you know, I maybe have to knock them a little bit to wake them up, or slap them a little bit to wake them up. I know that that's ultimately what my purpose is. And so I live that pretty much every day. And this book is definitely in alignment with that purpose.
Okay, well, look, speaking of attracting what you're aligned for, you know, the experts, authors, and this Brave Healer community, we all have different ways that we practice that awareness and connection. So that's one of the ways that I believe experiences turn into wisdom. Would you share about one of your personal practices, the way that you connect kind of, you know, in your day to day?
Well, I do a lot of meditating. And for me, meditation is not necessarily about sitting in a particular posture, having my hands in a particular position, or any of that stuff. For me, meditating is about trying to be fully present to what's going on right now. Present awareness of my body, awareness of my mind, awareness of everything that's going on. And when I use that word awareness, I mean understanding what's happening without necessarily having a judgment or an interpretation of it. You know, it's like trying to observe, like you see cars driving on the street. You just see a car going by. You might notice, oh, that's a red car. That's a blue car. Oh, that car makes a lot of noise. You might have those other little stories that are coming up. You might say, oh, the people in that car obviously don't have a lot of money because they have this cheap, ugly, you know, messy car. So you see what's happening is you start making up stories about things, even though all you're really doing is observing cars, right? What I try to do is remove the story and just be with what is. Because when I am with what is, that is when I can accept it. Because then I can say to myself, the story part goes away and this is what it is. I can accept it as it is, you know? So that's my practice. I do this on a regular basis. And yeah, sometimes I do sit down with my hands in a particular position. I take a lot of deep breaths. I let my eyes closed and then I focus within. And one of my favorite meditation processes when I do that is just to ask the question, who am I? And then I wait to see what answer comes up. And when that answer comes up, I say, oh, thank you. Thank you. Who am I? I ask the question again. And I just keep doing that. And it's kind of like a lotus flower, you know, where the leaves are kind of, not the leaves, the petals are opening up. And the more the petals open up with each answer that I kind of release like that, the closer I get down to the nugget, to the truth, to the gold, to the gem within. And I begin to see that who I am is love. And I remember in your chapter, you talked about love being the most powerful force in the universe. And I think that's absolutely true. So when I understand that I am love, in fact, all of us are love, what that means is we are all aspects of the most powerful force in the universe. That's that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
it's, it's no small potato stuff we're talking about today, you guys. This is big stuff.
Right?
And I love it. And I love getting into these kinds of conversations. I have a huge thank you to your co authors now. Not just for saying yes to this, but for really taking on the challenge I gave you to put some vulnerable stories in this book, and then also your master practices. You guys, you are getting such a gift with the gifts of wisdom. You're getting practical, applicable practices that you can try, and they might just change your life. Like one of those practices really could be that powerful for you. And I am so grateful for your author cast who came into the book. What other message do you have for them today?
Well, first of all, thank you all to all my co-authors. Thank you. I love you. I think you're absolutely amazing beings. We have been meeting on a regular basis every couple of weeks since this whole project started, and that's nearly a year ago now. So that's been a pretty amazing journey. And so getting to know these people, on a heart level, on a spirit level, has been really powerful. But one thing I wanted to say, Laura, because of the amazing generosity of these co-authors, this book isn't just a book, you know. It is a book for sure, and you'll get a huge amount of value just from the physical presence of that book in your life. Whether you go with the electronic version or whether you go with the printed version, that's your choice. But I tell you, we've got other offers that we are bringing to people. I even got so inspired by this, I wrote an album of music. And so people can get access to that too. There is so much that this project is all about, and we're just bringing our wisdom to you in as many ways as we can think of. We got a summit coming up. So these authors have been absolutely amazing. It's just been a most inspirational and loving ride. I'm just thrilled that we're able to bring this to people.
So I had the distinct pleasure of listening to your sample track on your album that you've created. What another gift that is, you guys. You're going to really enjoy that. I'll make sure that you're linked up below with all of the things we're talking about today, okay? Because you're going to want to take a listen. What I loved about that track that I listened to, David, is there's part of my time I will write in silence. And sometimes I don't want to write in silence. I need a little something. And that day, that's what I paired it with some of my journaling. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was beautiful. So you guys are in for a treat with that. So, I mean, you have a lot going on, really, even aside from the book and all the book related things. Do you want to share with us like what you're up to in the world otherwise?
Wow. Well, this is it right now. I have been focusing a lot of attention on writing. I kind of got excited about it in 2019. And so I wrote my first solo book. And that was an absolutely wonderful experience. I will admit that I published that with a different publisher. I didn't have the same kind of publishing experience that I've had with you, but it was still a good experience in getting my thoughts and ideas down on paper because it helped me to focus my energy into bringing my whole, what I call a life mastery paradigm into the world. And but what I've also learned as a result of doing that book is there are other things that I want to share in other ways. So I have a life mastery TV program that I do. I have a soul empowerment program that I do. I work for the Wellness Universe as a senior partner and also as one of the core bloggers there. I do a monthly series called Life Mastery Soul Memos. So I'm doing a lot of writing, just bringing whatever little wisdom I can bring into the world and trying to support people to have better lives. And of course, I also do one-on-one coaching and group coaching for anybody who's interested in doing that. So yeah, that kind of, so outside of that, I'm not really doing much.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So, all right. Here we all are on this journey. We have our listeners listening in today and all these golden nuggets. What might be some last words you want to leave them with for them to really thrive on the journey? What do you want them to know?
First, I guess the one thing that I want to know is, and this may sound, gratuitous, but the truth is, I love you, and I am able to say that now because I have learned to love myself, you know? And so I invite you to learn who you really are and really begin to love that amazing, fantastic being of light and love that you really are. Try not to let yourself get caught up in all the stories that come around in your ego mind. Instead, just let those go. As Laura describes it, just think of them as little boats that are floating down a river and try not to get attached to them. I love that metaphor. I'm going to say it again. But anyway, yeah, if you can just do that, release all that stuff, all that story, and just get back to the truth of who you are, I guarantee your life is going to shift for the better. It doesn't have to be a huge shift, just enough to start moving you towards the truth and the deepest truth of who you really are so that you know why you're here and what you're really intended to do.
David McLeod, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone.
You are most welcome. Thank you, Laura. I've really enjoyed it.
So, you guys, this is way more than a book. It is a generous community of experts who want to help you. Maybe you heard something today in this interview and you've got a question or you need some support or you're just curious, right? So drop down into the show notes. David's programs and everything about what he's talked about today is linked up down there. Go explore. Check it all out. It's a lot. It is amazing. And of course, you can also join us for the book launch party. We're going to be having that on October 10th. And there's some information down below about the Zoom for that. We're going to have all of our Gifts of Wisdom authors with us. That's going to be a blast. So come join our Zoom party. And then, of course, you can grab your book on Amazon. So hop on over, grab this beautiful book. Lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.